In this video, we're going to preview the Iowa Hawkeyes in the upcoming 25-26 season. They have a lot of parts. They're an interesting team. We'll see where they're at in the ACC era, that being after Caitlin Clark. Before we start, if you enjoy the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel. In addition, a house update. So we have a roof on the house and windows. It's coming along. The next big thing to happen tomorrow, fingers crossed, the power gets re-hooked up. I'm a bit concerned about that, as I know that there are bees in the pole that holds up the power line, and I know that's going to delay it, and I'm worried if that happens, then I won't be able, my family and I won't be able to get back into our house before Christmas. So fingers crossed, Origin Energy can hook up the power in the next week, but I'm not real confident. Anyway, enough delay. Let's get into this. The Iowa Hawkeyes. Last season was always going to be a bit of a hangover season after the leaving of Caitlin Clark. Of course, Lisa Bluder retired. Much like after I beat my son in a video game, I announced my retirement. I would do the same thing that Lisa Bluder did. Jan Jensen did well in her first year as the Iowa head coach. They had a big signature win, I would say, versus USC, the jersey retirement ceremony. At the time, I think USC was rated number 4. That was big. They were still able to make the tournament, and they lost in the second round at Oklahoma, but that was sort of expected. I think they maximized the talent that they had. As all teams have losses after the season, Iowa is no different. So Lucy Olson, Sydney Falter, and Addison O'Grady, they graduated. Olsen was off to the WNBA and was their leading scorer at 17.9 points per game. Falter averaged just over 8 points per game and was a starter as well. She is now a coach for Iowa. Addison O'Grady, the big, started 18 games, and she's also graduated. The other one they lost via the portal is Aaliyah Guyton, who transferred to the Illini. She didn't get a lot of minutes, but if she would have stayed, she probably would have been competing for a starter position or significant minutes. So who remains? Well, they have a lot of parts. So the returners are Hannah Stalkey, who's 6'2", and she's a senior. She has an all-around game. Normally, she does her best work going in transition and on the inside. She's a prototypical 4 in the WNBA, but the question for her is going to be, can she develop an outside game? Then they have Ava Hayden, who's 6'4". She's their big. She's lean, has an athletic type of game, and she will likely pair with Stolke on the inside. They might be a nice 1-2 punch. Other returning players from last year's team, Kylie Feuerbach, she's 6 foot, a forward guard. She slashes to the basket. She shoots around 32% from the three-point line. Sophomore Tegan Mullaney, she'll be fighting to get some playing time. She's in her sophomore year. She was rated number 64 prospect by ESPN when she came out of high school. She had some issues towards the end of her freshman year with concussions, but keep an eye on her as well. Taylor McCabe is one of the few returning guards. She's 5'9", and she's a dead-eye shooter, shooting 41% from the three-point line. She started 19 games last year. There's going to be strong competition for McCabe from the transfers coming in and the recruiting class. We'll talk about the transfers in first. So Chit Chat Wright, she's a 5'4" point guard from Georgia Tech who's going into her sophomore year. She averaged 7.2 points, 2.2 rebounds, 2.6 assists, shot 37% from the floor and 32% from the three-point line. She, in terms of attempts from the three-point line, she took 1.3 attempts per game and averaged 25 minutes last season. She's like a Hannah Hidalgo type of player. She brings the ball up quickly in transition. On defense, she puts on good ball pressure, and she's able to take players off the dribble with her speed. The other transfer in is Emily Rodriguez. She is also a guard. She is 6 foot she came from the University of Central Florida. Her game is different to Wright, as she's more like a bully guard. At 6 foot, she can sort of use her body to work her way into the key and then shoot over smaller opponents. She can also play the forward. She put up good numbers her freshman year, averaging 11 points per game, 5.3 rebounds. She shot 40% from the floor and 33% from the three-point line. She only took 1.8 three-point attempts per game and averaged 26 minutes per game in her freshman year. Now, Iowa also added talent via their recruiting class, and that is highlighted by Addie Deal, the number 23 rated recruit. She's a guard, she's 6 foot from California, and this is a big deal bringing her in. She has a good all around game. She can drive to the basket, she can shoot from outside, and she can run the point potentially and be an off guard or a wing. Iowa also landed two other recruits, Layla Hayes, who's a 6'5 big. She was rated number 71 by ESPN. She has a different type of post game to Ava Hyden. She's more physical and bigger, but she hasn't had a lot of competition as she's coming from Alaska, and normally the players that she was going up against were clearly not her size, but you can see her developing in the mold of other Iowa posts like Gustafson and Shizano. The last recruit in their class is Journey Houston, a 5'11 forward. She had a lot of injuries her junior year, which hurt her recruiting status, and she's an Iowa kid. To be determined how she develops and how much playing time she'll get in her freshman, and how she develops over the course of her career. Now, going through Iowa's lineup, you can see how they have a lot of really, really good parts. The question is, do they have a bona fide superstar? And I think that goes down to two players. Hannah Stuelke, she played on Team USA and had a good summer. The question is, can she take that next step and score a little bit more and have a really good face-up game and dominate games from the four? The other one is Addie Deal. How long will it take her to adjust to the college game? And can she have an immediate impact, or will there be a lot of growing pains as a freshman? One thing that Jan Jansen will have is flexibility, as Iowa will be able to play in a lot of different ways. Jansen has talked about doing two bigs in and three out, and they can do that with Stuelke and Hyden. The other option is they could go potentially a little bit small as well and play Stuelke at the four, and then go Feuerbach, Emily Rodriguez, Addie Deal at guard, and then Chit Chat right at the point guard spot. But they can just mix these lineups and see which one's their best lineup, and I think that's initially what they'll do when they start the season. Their non-conference is tough, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have some growing pains. They have Baylor on the 21st of November, then Miami on the 23rd of November. I believe that's part of a tournament. Then they're at Iowa State on the 10th of December and have UConn on the 21st of December. And then, of course, after that, they have the Big Ten. If you're an optimist, you would say the tough non-conference will help prepare them for the Big Ten. Last year in the Big Ten, they finished ninth with a 10-8 record. This year, I think they would be happy to get in the top four, maybe even number two if they get all the right bounces. I think everybody would agree. UCLA, one of the rankings I saw, UCLA is ranked 3 in the country. You'd expect them to win the Big Ten. Then Maryland's ranked 11, Michigan 14, Michigan State 16, Minnesota 22, and Iowa 23. In addition, USC, although Juju's not playing, they still have a lot of talent there with Kennedy Smith and others like Jazzy Davidson, the incoming recruit, and London Jones, and not to mention, I think they also got Carnegie. So yeah, the Big Ten is going to be a tough conference, and overall, I think Iowa is on the right track. If you haven't heard, and I imagine if you're watching this, you are aware, they got McKenna Velichko. She has committed to Iowa, and they're still in the mix for a couple of other top 26 recruits, and they have a lot to sell. They'll sell out the stadium again for a third year in a row, so they've really done well post the Caitlin Clark era in terms of the fans are showing up, and it's a good place to play in a women's basketball mad university, and you can see the core building if you have Chit Chat Right, Rodriguez with Addie Deal, and then add Velichko. You've got Hyden in addition to Layla Hayes. That's a good 5. Actually, that's 6, but you get the idea. They are developing a good young core. I think this year, again, I don't know if they have enough offensive firepower. I think they'll be that mid-range team, and I could see them struggling some nights to score, but they have a lot of parts, and then when you get to the tournament, I think they might be able to make it out of the first round into the Sweet 16. If the bounces really go their way, Elite 8. I really don't see them as a Final Four team, but then that's sort of the excitement of the tournament, as you never know because it's a one and done. All right, now it's over to you, your comments, your poison. It's all welcome. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.